Welcome back to another episode of the Brews and Business Podcast, where we dive into the heart of entrepreneurship, uncover the challenges of building a business, and explore the strategies that drive success. Today, we're touching on a topic that's not just critical, it's essential for every modern business: vulnerabilities in business and in IT. Joining us is Cody Rojas, right? Pronounce it correctly? Okay, I wanted to make sure I did, because every time that I say your name, I'm like, I question myself. And I know with confidence, I know how to say it. So anyways, the owner and CEO of T-Town Tech, a local managed cybersecurity service provider, abbreviations MCSP, if y'all know what that means, right here in Tulsa. We're not IT people, but we're about to be. You're going to learn some stuff today. Cody left behind the security of 2 jobs to chase his dream of building something meaningful, something that could not only grow, but protect the businesses that form the backbone of our community. Today, Cody will share his journey, the challenges he faced along the way, and why cybersecurity isn't just a buzzword, it's a business necessity. We'll explore the vulnerabilities that every business, regardless of size, must address in our increasingly digital world. So grab your brew, sit back, and let's dive into the critical conversations. And before we get too far into it, I'm going to remind you guys to go to brewsandbiz.com. Look at all the previous episodes that we've recorded. They're all published there. You can listen to them. Check out the new Costa Rica blend by Gregor and Coffee Roasters, the official coffee roaster of the Brews and Business Podcast. And let's get into it. What's up, Cody? Welcome in.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're my IT dude. You're my IT guy.
Yeah.
The IT director.
Sure.
The tech dude.
Of course.
The Wi-Fi genius. There's so many like creative
Keyboard
terms.
wizard.
Keyboard wizard.
Network Jedi.
Network Jedi.
Sure.
That's cool. Okay, I like that one. Do you have any more? Okay. Well, it is so since it is Brews and Business, I have a couple brews. Well, it's a version of a brew. This is Doc Swinson's Blender's Cut 3621. Never heard of this bottle, but someone gave it to me. It has been opened and tried, but it's been a long time since I've tried it. Aged 5 years. Alcohol by volume is at 57%. It's 115 proof. It's going to be a little hot, but we're going to go into this hot.
It's
and
Labor
then
Day
we're going to
weekend,
finish out smooth, with this other one too. It's a straight bourbon whiskey, bottled in small batches. After numerous releases of their triple cask alter ego bourbon, Jesse Parker, Doc's Blender, started to notice. I got to put this over here so I can read it. A late night trend as we sample. Hold on, I got to start over on this. It's hard to read this. The font's weird. After numerous releases of our triple cask alter ego bourbon, Jesse Parker, Doc's Blender, started to notice a late night trend as we sampled the base bourbon. After witnessing copious nights in the warehouse with glasses that refused to be set down. I need glasses. It became apparent that the Blender's Cut need to be shared. Thanks to Jesse, this delicious mixture of 36% and 21 of 36%. What is that? Dude, and 21% bourbon lingers. Yeah. Dude, here, let me put those on.
Will it actually help? I wonder.
Oh, fuck, you're blind. Oh, that hurts. On the palate and brings like waves of vanilla, brown sugar, covered apricots, peanuts, and brown butter is now available to you and your lips. So they didn't say that I added that in there. Okay. We're sure you'll find yourself enjoying late nights with Jesse Blender's Cut too. It's not late night, but we're kicking off a weekend with Doc Swinson.
Sounds good.
I'll pour you talk.
Yeah. It's funny. That made me think of last week I went to a chamber event, and in the process, the mayor of Broken Arrow gets up to go talk whatever, right? And he gets up there and he's like, I didn't write this and I can't read, so good luck, here we go. And then one of his friends walks up with glasses just like you just did. He's like, it's really nice to work with people your own age. Oh boy, need a little bit more, he said.
I was kidding.
We'll keep pouring more.
I'm just kidding. So how long you been doing IT?
Oh, basically my whole life, man.
Okay. Or has IT been doing you?
Both. One of my earliest memories is actually breaking my great-grandma's computer.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because I love to take stuff apart and put it back together. She was super obsessed with Farmville. Heard of that?
Yeah.
Like a pretty big Facebook game. She had a huge farm that she was so proud of, right? She had put money into this. And I took apart her computer, and she thought that I had fully broken it. She was like, my farm, I'm never going to get it back. You ruined my life, right? And I wind up putting it back together. Boots back on. She gets back on her farm bill, and she was absolutely so happy, and I've just been riding that wave ever since.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like
Just
it.
been obsessed since then, right, with helping people fix their stuff.
So you're a Farmville IT repair guy.
I guess so. Yeah.
Very
I'll
cool.
build your barn.
So it was always IT. You started off with computers.
Yeah.
Is there a specific time other than that was like, hey, I want to go this route in IT versus, like you could have been, and I'm sure you do like programming and stuff, right?
Actually,
But
no.
there you could have gone that
I
route,
could
right?
have, yeah.
So is there something, or was there a series of events that's like, you know what, I think I like to do this side of technology?
Well, I moved to Tulsa when I was 17 and moved here with a buddy of mine, so I just had to immediately start working, right? So whenever I got here, I initially worked in the food service industry.
You're gonna have to get closer to the mic.
I initially worked in the food service industry.
I don't need you to lick it.
And I had a lot of fun cooking, but I found that it wasn't very fulfilling for me. I mean, I'm very passionate about food and cooking, obviously, but a lot of people in that industry are just not super thrilled about being there. It tends to have some folks who are less than happy with their lives, right? So every day I would come in and people were like slamming pots and pans and just not stoked to be there. So it wasn't a really great environment. Eventually I got burnt out and started looking for other stuff. Worked a few temp jobs and then landed at Best Buy doing like Geek Squad stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Geek Squad.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Laid a pretty solid foundation for me from a managerial perspective as well, because I worked my way up pretty quickly. And then from there, I actually got offered a job while I was there one day to go and do some cybersecurity stuff. And I went and I did that for a while, and eventually decided to open up my own thing.
Very cool. Is it just you that is T-Town Tech just you right now?
No,
or do you have people?
We've got people. So
Awesome.
I mean, I have an admin team, and then I have a couple of technicians around Tulsa. They all work remotely.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I'm going to ask a very simple question. I feel like most people probably wonder the same thing. What exactly falls into the category of IT? What
Yeah,
exactly do you do, and what does your team do?
I feel like asking what IT is a lot like asking what art is, because there's just so much that goes into that, right? So whenever it comes to security specifically, which is our bread and butter, it's kind of multi-layered support, right? So you have like network-based security, endpoint security, which are like computers, servers, stuff like that. And then you also have like training that you do with the staff to teach them how to fall into certain pitfalls. Um, that's security, but then there's general IT, which can be anything from helping people with their technology issues all the way up to like building out full infrastructure, right? And everything in between.
Interesting.
That's cool. Yeah. So, little backstory. Cody and I met. It was like 9:30 at night,
So
and
he
he's
really
like,
did text you at 3 a.m.
"Yeah, no, really, like, yeah, from like 9:30 to 12 in the morning." But I'm with my family or whatever. I may see it on my watch. I'm like, I don't know this number, and I don't. It was a demand. I didn't even get an introduction, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm whatever. Not a priority. Friday 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and then another client text. It was like 10:30 or whatever. And I'm like, or maybe it was 11:30, whatever. But I don't think I saw that one until like the next morning. And then there was a couple things in an email, I think from you and him. I think I caught up. I think I ignored it after I saw one of y'all's messages. I was like, I'll check it in the morning or whatever. And then there was a bunch of stuff. I was like, oh my god, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, hey man, like, who are you? Like, why are you authorized to ask me? Like, I can't just give you a login to a client's thing. I don't know who you are. Like, because I've had that happen too, and that's a risk for me. Like, if I just start giving you logins to our client stuff, like,
Right.
that could open me up for losing client or lawsuit or whatever else too. So I first had to make sure that, like, one, I called the client. I was like, who is this guy? Is he legit? What's he doing? Why is he doing it? Just to try to understand the context. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, so he's legit. So helped him basically do whatever it is on DNS domain stuff, hosting, whatever he did with the emails. So that's beyond my head. So a lot of times people get confused when they're like, oh, you're doing the website and you register a domain, you get all the technical stuff. You guys should know this. And I'm like, no, we're creatives with a bit of tech and development, like just a tad, just a splash. But like marketing and IT can collaborate, like marketing and sales collaborate,
Mm-hmm.
like marketing and finance collaborate. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that I understand all of the DNS shit and how the spam filters and MX right. Like I get it. We get it and how it functions to a degree, but other than that, so that's how Cody met. And then he was like, we had conversations about uh vulnerabilities with devices and stuff like that, and making sure that hey, if you take the laptop, you lose it, I don't know, like, can I make sure that that data is retrieved or it's shut down, or we can maintain some control over that device, $2,000 device, $3,000 device, or whatever it is, and try to make they take it, brick it, or whatever.
Right.
We were given the ability for our team to go remote, so we went from Mac Minis to MacBook Airs, upgraded those, so like that's good. So stuff like that, and then he offered Keeper, like a password management software, which we have like 2,000 passwords logins.
Wow.
We have a ton. Um, and so we're working on migrating those into Keeper. So like we've been taking time every now and then just to try to like log into everything and being like, okay, what worked, what didn't work? Do we need this? Do we not need this? Because instead of me just putting everything in there, I'd like to start from the ground up on it,
Right.
and only put in there like what actually makes sense, and then organize it and make sure that whoever has access to the logins has only access to what they need to have access to,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't need to see all the login.
Mm-hmm.
They just need access to whatever they're managing, whether
Right.
it's a client or a department style logins.
Right.
So it's cool to be able to layer stuff like that. And then Cody is going to be installing a new Wi-Fi system for the office that allows us to be able to scale as we grow. So which will enhance for the studio. So if you guys are coming into Blue Studio, you guys will have better upload speeds and stuff like that. Right now, it's lagged a few times to where it's like, oh God, it's at like 67% and it's stuck like that for 2 days or whatever. So like in order for Blue Studio to say, hey, it's uploaded in 15 minutes, you'll have everything. Like I want to stand by that. That's important. And plus, with as much as data as we're uploading and downloading in the media, I have to have the internet that moves quick.
Mm-hmm.
And with number of devices. So more people, more problems. This is one of those problems, with IT and security. Like the more people I have, the more vulnerabilities and the more risks that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to balance that out with Cody and to help me be like, okay, how do we, secure our devices? How do we secure our network? Because I don't know if you know, and he could probably dive into this too. You can hack a network through a TV or a printer or through a Ring camera, order that too. And he was like, I could get access to all of these logins with your whatever digits into your computer, just yours or just one of theirs. And if it's too simple like that, all you guys can go down. Like his job is to look out for vulnerabilities like that and to try to cover my ass. He's like an insurance agent in that standpoint, like insurance agent's job is to cover my ass if it butts. But what if that's his job? Right?
Yeah. And
That
really,
cover a lot. I know I kind of went on, but
yeah, absolutely.
good
And
context.
those kind of devices are called Internet of Things, right? And more often than not, they're actually behind some of the largest hacks that you see, like with casinos and hospitals. Um, the most recent one, I don't think was an IoT hack. I think it was just someone's credentials were active that didn't work there anymore and didn't have any kind of two-factor. I believe that was the Hillcrest Hospital. They had an entire floor shut down because they got ransomware. It's absolutely crazy how often you hear about ransomware attacks now, so much more than it was a couple of years ago. And it's really because these tools are far more available than they used to be. So people can easily access your devices, easily get in there with just a press of a button due to things like large language models and AI that make it easier to just get access to people's stuff.
So he's really opened up my eyes to like, and this is something I've balanced for a long time on, okay, at some point I know I'm going to have to figure out the vulnerabilities and to figure out ways to secure that. And I was like, I'll just sign up for a Vera. And so I'm curious to know the difference on like your DIY methods to think you're covered versus what you offer.
Well, I mean, a lot of consumer grade security solutions really aren't up to snuff for a business, right? Your standard antivirus program is effectively just a list of identifying marks that are called hashes. So like known hashes for malicious programs. And these lists are updated as programs are discovered to be malicious. But it's really just a matching list, right? So if it finds a hash that identifies as malicious on your device, it blocks it. That's a basic consumer grade antivirus, right? What we offer is more advanced. It uses more advanced features. One of which is a sandbox environment that anything that's installed on your device goes through, which then tries to figure out what that's trying to do before it can actually gain access to any of your computer or network. You also have a bunch of acronyms like EDR, XDR, and they're effectively just extra layers of security and solutions.
Didn't you say, okay, so another thing, do you know SecTech?
I think I'm familiar.
Do you know Matt Lemke?
No.
He knows you.
Huh.
I asked
That
him
happens
about
a lot
you.
in Tulsa.
I asked him about you. He validated you. So that's interesting to know. I'm happy to connect you. He's a really cool guy. He's kind of getting into a little bit of the web design kind of space, but more of like an automated marketing kind of thing. But he works at works at SecTech. Pretty good size IT business. They've been around. They just had their 25th birthday party
They're at Sepulpa,
last
aren't they?
night. They're out of Sepulpa.
Yeah, I want to say I've seen them on Main Street.
But I was like asking about price and everything else, and like making sure that this and that was covered. I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, sounds good. I would do it. I was like, okay, cool. All right, I'll do it. And he's the only IT person that I really knew and could trust. And I, so it's always good to ask.
We tend
to
try to make our pricing very competitive, specifically not to like undermine anyone else, but to make sure that smaller businesses can get coverage as well.
Yeah.
A big philosophy for me starting my company was to make cybersecurity approachable, because I find that for a lot of companies that are like 15 minus in terms of employee count tend to look at cybersecurity as a huge expense that they can't overcome, and so they just ignore it before it becomes a problem.
It is, but like once it becomes a problem,
it's far more
detrimental.
expensive. It's far more expensive. If you call me after you've had a ransomware attack and I have to come in and remediate it, I have to reimage all of your devices, I have to try to recover data, I have to figure out what credentials have been compromised. And it's just so much more work. And it also increases your liability as a business owner, right? I mean, for you specifically, the kind of work that you do, you handle a lot of people's credentials, you handle a lot of people's information, their private information, their payment information, right? And all of that, holding that kind of info is inherently a liability. And if you don't have something in place to protect you, then you're really leaving your lunch on the table effectively.
You'd be surprised about how many companies in my space don't even consider this stuff.
Absolutely.
And which isn't a big deal to my clients until it is, and the client is affected. What if? That goes to one of my things of just get started or be prepared. So I think about like some of those what if moments and what are the odds? And I'm like, well, what are the odds? It's not worth playing, right? Because $1,000 a month to cover all of our stuff is well worth $12,000 a year than it is to pay $40,000 or 6 figures in a lawsuit because something was compromised in X, Y, and Z, and it affected one of our clients, and this happened. You know what I mean? Like that could be an easy thing that I could expect to happen.
And it's far more cost effective than hiring an internal employee. And you don't hire IT people, so you don't actually know what to look for, right? And I found that when talking to a lot of business owners who have like a guy, right? That guy is usually like a niece, I mean, a nephew or like someone's brother, right?
Same thing in my space,
where they don't really know how to effectively remediate real challenges, right? Like they can get the printer running again, they can turn a computer off and on again, maybe swap out some RAM, get it running again. But like whenever it comes to actual security and infrastructure, it's outside of their depth, which is totally fair, right? A lot of companies get started with just a guy, but at the end of the day, I'm cheaper than your guy yearly. And we're going to be able to bring a higher level of solution that really protects your business, which is super important, especially as we move forward. I mean, the United States is really behind the EU in terms of laws around data privacy, but we're catching up. And within the next few years, it's going to be on the business owner to protect their clients' data legally to a much higher degree with much higher fines than we have currently.
There's this whole world that I'm just not as involved as you guys, right? This is literally your business. Your whole business is based on computers,
Yep.
And I while I do have some devices and I think about that, it's like, it's just something like you said, I don't think about it all the time because most of my work is outside.
Sure.
It's work, physical work, and a lot of your guys' work is based off of these devices and internet and so on and so forth. And it just makes you think like, wow, I don't think about that at all. And not that I shouldn't, but like you said, most average, small business owners, they just don't think about it until it becomes a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And even whenever you bring it up, right, you're trying to sell unregulated insurance. Like, I mean, I'm very, I go into these places and my whole conversation is just, how can I help you? Right? Like, I want to help you be secure. I want to help you, secure your infrastructure for your business. And it's always just like like a used car salesman in there. That's always the response.
Right.
And it's a conversation that's difficult to have because you already have to have a level of trust with someone for them to tell you where their weak points are.
Right.
So it's all relationship based at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My joke, the relationship based. I've got a comment on that. It's finger time. Oh my God. What was that? I just forgot about it. Huh?
You had a joke.
Okay. Yeah. So my joke was, thank you. My joke was, I'm not a used car salesman. I'm here to help you and actually provide a solution to actually do a little bit of problem solving and make something work within your budget, timeline, and expectations. If I was in sales, I'd be a roofer. And if I was even a really good salesperson, I'd be a pool sales. I'm not a used car salesman, a roofer, or a pool salesperson.
Are pools easy to sell?
No, but they're big money.
I mean, maybe today.
They're big money.
They were big. They were easy to sell during COVID.
Yeah.
I feel like pools would be easy to sell over this summer. It's been crazy.
Man, I will say, all my clients, that people are dropping $70,000-$100,000 left and right on pools, and it's insane to me. I love it.
Yeah.
But
when an entire summer is like over 100 degrees, it's not that hard of a sell.
Yeah, and I get that, but I just grew up different. I'm like, dude, just go to the lake, go to the river, buy yourself like a $300 pool from Walmart. You don't need $100,000 hole in your backyard. I get it. It's cool. Sure. Totally cool. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll change my mind. See, I'm sure one day I'll
change my mind. That's a cool project.
Yeah, that's the one we just finished.
That's good.
Yeah. But you grew up at the lake, huh?
Yeah. I grew up right next door to a lake. But we were a ramen noodles house, so there's no way we had pools.
But you had a lake.
Yeah, we had a lake.
That's good enough.
Hey, what do you think about those docks?
It's a bit stout.
I feel like if my
it warms your chest, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
I could definitely clean my fingernails with this.
Would you say we were men now? That's what it is. That's what I feel.
We're men. We have hairy chins. Now that we're men.
I mean, it's stout.
You know that movie?
Mulan?
No, what?
Is that not Mulan?
Oh, love it. Love it.
Devin, name that movie.
Oh.
It's the SpongeBob SquarePants movie.
Yes, I know that movie. Yes, I've seen that. Mulan also has a song about being men.
Something about being men, yeah, because Mulan.
Let's get down to business
yes,
to defeat the Han.
I got really into VR for a while, and I had that song on Beat Saber because I modded it and had illegal music on it.
Okay. Very interesting.
Do you know what that means? We are invincible.
We're gonna get demonetized.
You've never heard this?
I've heard it.
Now that we're men, save the town and Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, that's when she gave up the mermaid gave him the mustache, right?
Yeah. He's like, ah.
Remember the dude rips it off and it's seaweed. It's great. I'm gonna step on you.
See, I don't remember the SpongeBob movie. That's not a manly movie to me.
This is a childhood thing.
It's okay to be wrong.
Dude, I guess I must have not had a childhood.
Did you have a good childhood?
Oh, I had a great childhood, actually.
That's good.
Yeah. Can't say I remember much of it. I mean, I always, it's funny. I have that question asked to me a lot about childhood and stuff. I'm just not a very emotional or reminiscence person. Like, I'm like, yeah, it was a good childhood. It's over. Let's look at what's on for the future. Can't say there's anything that I,
Would you go back if you could?
No.
No?
No.
With the knowledge that you have now?
No, it was a good childhood.
Including winning games and stuff.
Yeah, no. I never won anything in my life, so why change it now?
Do you want to know the definition of vulnerability?
Braden Cruz.
Vulnerability, sure. Vulnerability comes from the Latin word vulnus, which means wound. This directly translates to the capacity to be wounded or open to attack. It's the willingness to expose oneself emotionally, mentally, or physically, knowing that there is a risk of being hurt, but also a possibility of growth and deeper connections. Are you like sitting on that, or are you trying to like not choke based on how warm this is on your chest? Are you warming that by your balls?
No, dude, I'm good. I'm done.
You want another one?
No, not that one. I'll take the silky.
Or the
But-
silky.
See, in my
Tell
space,
me about it though.
Tell you about the silky. It's a product of Ireland. Signature blend of double and triple distilled malts with soft grain whiskey and a hint of peated malt. Inspired by the legends of the Donegal coast.
Some hair on your chest.
Non-chill filtered.
That one's really smooth. Super
Yeah,
light.
we've had this one before.
This
This
one's
is a
gonna
good
be the
one.
opposite.
I'm not going to read all this shit back here, but it says you enjoy it neat on the rocks or mixed with ginger. Ooh, with ginger ale. That sounds good.
Ooh. I learned about that at the whiskey tasting last month.
Oh, okay. I have an update. Now we have 7 locations
Oh, that's cool.
across the U.S. We have one in Sacramento, one in San Diego, one in Moore, and Edmond, Dallas, headquarters in Tulsa, and in Greensboro, North Carolina. And San Diego is an office. Sacramento is an office. Edmond, Moore, Dallas, all those are offices in Tulsa.
Oh, that was a city. Sorry.
More.
And
He said
Green.
more. You want some, boss?
Were you serious?
Huh?
Did you really pour more? Because I thought you said
No, I was
oh.
joking. But I did pour more just because it was perfect timing.
Well,
That's good.
obviously, vulnerability has a bit of a different meaning in my space, right? Like, you don't want to be vulnerable in the IT space. You want to eliminate vulnerabilities.
It's kind of the opposite of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna put up my firewall.
But you said and whiskey. That's hilarious. You said and whiskey. The fourth and whiskey was Wednesday, 2 days ago.
Mhm.
We raised upwards of $6,700, $6,800.
Wow, fantastic.
Is that double what you did last month?
And then the previous month was double the previous month before that, and was 200x the first one. The first day, it was a week. It was the Monday. We were like, let's do this on Friday. Okay, we raised $75, and then we're like, oh, we got to make this more whatever. We'll plan this one out. Then the lodge on Main was like, hey, you guys can use our space. We'll open on Wednesdays. We're closed, but we'll open for you guys. Excuse me. So then we did that. We raised $1,300 the next time. The third event we raised like $3,500 or something like that, and then this last one was like $6,700.
That's awesome.
And now the distilleries seem like they're in competition to see who can help raise more money for Soldier's Wish.
That's fun.
Did you sell all the VIP tables this past?
We sold all the VIP. We had to add an extra one.
Nice.
And we sold out of all tickets. So if you want to go, you got to get a ticket early. It goes directly to Soldier's Wish. Andolini's brings in Cater's Pizza.
Is that going to be a recurring thing?
For now.
Nice.
I mean, I locked them in for September.
Nice.
Air 5.
That's awesome, dude.
The owners are actually veterans themselves, Marine veterans. Mike and his brother, I believe, both military. I know Mike for sure. But so like there's some correlation there. So, but yeah. So then the distilleries bring in the whiskeys. They donate the spirits. The lodge donates the space.
And
I'm
the
handling
labor, right?
And what?
And the labor, having bartenders on staff.
One bartender there. But they to kind of help out. And then I'm handling the logistics. John helps to make sure that we have whiskey there. And yeah, so like we all just kind of come together to figure it out. Water's Edge Winery, we'll bring some cheese and crackers, stuff like that. Some like more like finger food. So we brought that out after the pizza. Sometimes people would eat a slice or two, and then an hour or two later, you kind of get the munchies. 4 or 5 whiskeys in.
Mm-hmm. That tends to happen.
Yep.
That's cool, man.
And it's enough to sample. So like you get about a quarter, half of an ounce, half a drum, and then we did an auction. So like we started the night with $4,100, and then we ended with $6,700.
Did you put together a couple more of those baskets?
And so we had a basket with a Soldier's Wish glass set and a decanter. And then Sarah, she worked BA, brought a bottle of whiskey that put in there, and then a cigar holder. I actually ordered a custom Oak and Aiden whiskey barrel or whiskey bottle that has Soldier's Wish's name on it that I'm going to bring to the event, and I'm going to bring 2 cigars with it. and I'm going to auction that off.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
So it's $100 bottle of whiskey.
You know,
That's
you keep
cool.
moving like this.
Right.
By this time next year, you'll have Quick Trivia backing you.
Dude.
That'd be the idea. That'd be awesome. They
Right.
back Folds of Honor right now.
Right?
And
Absolutely. Folds of
Soldiers-
Honor is national, but Quick Trip is local, right? So
Right.
you gotta be like, hey,
Folds of
Local,
Honor's out of
local.
Owasso too.
is it really?
Mhm.
I thought it was a national work.
No, they're out of Owasso.
No way.
Mhm.
Huh.
Right here.
I
That's
swear
another
to
reason
God-
why Quick Trip, like, and them, that's how they kind of.
Okay. I swear that I heard of Folds of Honor whenever I lived on
But
the
they
East
have
Coast.
national reach. So,
Yeah.
like, Soldier's Wish has serviced veterans and military personnel across the country.
Oh,
Has
fantastic.
granted wishes across the country for sure. And they actually have another chapter or two. So and they're looking to expand and add more chapters. So it's a small team. There's only 3 people that run Soldier's Wish.
For now. If
For
you
now.
keep growing like this, you're going to have to add another.
So
couple.
our goal with Andowiski is to basically cover their operating expenses, which is only like $4 or $5 grand a month. It just
Nice.
pays their bills.
That's pretty awesome.
So, in a business standpoint, like in a business standpoint, I get the opportunity to meet everyone else in business. And so I've been thinking long and hard about like, okay, and this is where John is the same thing. We're like, it's one thing to go to a networking event. And a lot of times there's just people handing out business cards and business development people. And a lot of times you don't meet decision makers. Very rarely. Quick and Clean Car Wash. Make sure I mention that. Because I booked them on the Brews and Business in October. National, regional. They're all the way out in Scottsdale, Arizona and back. Okay. But we're thinking of like, how do we get in touch with some of these decision makers? So these CEOs, these executives, these investors, whatever. Well, so I got to thinking, I'm like, well, what do they like? They like guns. They like cigars.
Well, dude, that
They
one
like
event I went to,
whiskeys. Huh?
that one event I went to, what's his name? Sebastian got that nice AR.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that was
They're
nice.
doing it again. Night of Honor.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm getting a table, so if you want to go,
I'll be there.
and then they like their military. They love their country. So I'm like, well, let me bring together Soldier's Wish if I can have an event that does like a whiskey tasting, to where John with his business and whiskey, where he does private whiskey tastings on the side for fun, and I can help put it together and just connect the dots. I get the opportunity to meet people, support a great organization. John and I get to try whiskeys. John gets exposure on the business side and on the insurance side, and like it just came together full fold. And we realized like after the first 2 events, we're like, we need some finger foods or something. So like the third event, we're like, Water's Edge gave some cheese and crackers, and then this last one on Wednesday, the 4th one, Andolini's reached out. Their catering reached out, and they were like, "Can we provide some pizzas? How many people do you need to feed?" And we're like 60 to 70. So we
That's
maxed
awesome.
out the venue too. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
we might
it's-
have Sean. I'm trying to get Sean Larkins, to come. You know, live PD guy. He used to be on the TPD.
Yeah, he's
Dude,
like a
I don't watch
local
TV.
celebrity.
Yeah. So he like dated
I'm a
Lana Del
loser.
Rey and stuff for a while or whatever. But I'm trying to get him to come in October and November. So that would be really cool. So, and the Night of Honor thing. So yeah, that's in November.
Yeah, dude, that was a cool event. That was fun. And I can't believe Sebastian won that. Oh, punt. It's a nice gun, dude. Really nice gun.
Why does that name ring a bell?
Sebastian? That's his name, isn't it? It
Ledoux?
is Sebastian. Yeah, Ledoux.
Yeah, he went.
Chiropractor guy.
He
Yeah,
closed down the
chiropractor.
business.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, he didn't close it down. He left it to his wife. But
Right.
He went back to
He-
the oil field.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he makes like $400K a year
Good for him. You know,
doing
being
oil and gas sales,
well, you know, we'll get there.
something like that. I don't know. Don't hold me to it, but
That's cool. Good for him. You know, I decided to become a business owner and make a fraction of that. It is what it is.
so
Relieving stress.
so some
Huh?
vulnerability.
Yeah, right.
Stress.
Yeah.
Some vulnerability in leadership. Great leaders show vulnerability by admitting when they don't have all the answers or when they've made mistakes. And this behavior fosters an environment of trust and openness. When those leaders model vulnerability, they encourage their teams to share ideas freely and ask for help, and they take risk without fears of judgment.
I like that. Honestly,
agree with
I
that?
like. I would say in a version of vulnerability with my team is, you know, sometimes I'll get out there whenever we have bigger jobs like that one you just posted out, and I'll get out there with them and we'll do the job and I'll straight up tell them I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you're supposed to be the professional in here. Like, well, you sold the job. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to figure this out together. And that's just vulnerability in the aspect of, kind of letting them know that in the grand scheme of things, what we're selling isn't really knowledge. Most of what we're selling is just labor. It's hard work. It's not necessarily genius work. But it's in that being with them, letting them know that you don't know, but you're going to figure it out. It does help give them that sense of I don't know, competence, that, hey, even if something goes wrong, at least trying to figure it out, you're vulnerable with them in that moment. So sometimes they stop you or they don't have to bug you because of XYZ, because they got to figure it out, because they've seen you vulnerable and they're like, hey, I don't know what I need, but if you give me XYZ tools, I can maybe figure it out, and I think that's a really easy way to be vulnerable in my business.
You see how I hold my whiskey glass?
Are you fancy?
Hold on. See how I bring it to my nose? Hello. How are you? Nice to meet you. I introduce it. See how I do all that? And watch a sip. It's very cutesy, very mindful, very demure. That was a clip. Can you mark that?
Is this an Anchorman thing?
Dude, I don't know.
You haven't heard of the demure thing?
So I
Trend
saw.
going around?
Listen. I saw that on Instagram. Like one day, I just shopped. It popped up, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" There was like 4 different things on that, and then my wife is like, "Oh yeah, that's stupid. I don't. This is fucking stupid." And it took over in a matter of like a day. Like, no, I don't even know what that word means. I don't even care.
You don't know what demure means.
No, don't really care.
No. So demure, what everyone's pretty much defined it as, and
Which
someone
is
out
not
there
the
can
definition.
So
See, so I didn't even look it
everyone
up.
has pretty much defined it as being respectful, being mindful, courteous,
being a bitch.
God. Being vulnerable. The role of vulnerability.
Well, I want to back up and comment on something that you said earlier about how you're very open with your team whenever you don't know what you're doing. Right. Something that I really preach heavily to my team is to never say that you don't know to a client.
Oh, you don't tell the customer that.
No. You always say, "I'll find out."
Oh yeah.
Right. So like whenever someone's like,
point.
whenever someone's like, "Hey, how are you guys going to do X, Y, and Z?" You just be like, "Look, we'll find out."
Oh, absolutely.
Like we're going to get you that answer. Like you never say, "Oh, I don't know." Like,
I tell my team that 100%.
I told a client that once earlier on in my years, and he goes, "I don't pay you to not know."
Absolutely.
Oh wow, yeah. And
that
again,
stuck with me for years.
I just think that lacks. Man, they hire a professional. They don't know how to know if you're a professional or not.
Yeah.
It comes down to confidence. So I always tell my team, it's like, hey, you never tell the customer we've never done this or we don't know what we're doing. But it's okay between us. We'll figure it out together. But the customer, it's always like, oh, we know what we're doing.
Luckily, no one watches this podcast, so
it's true. Actually, turns out one of my employees has watched every single one of our episodes. I'm like, that's freaking cool.
I've watched a lot of them.
Not at all. He's cool. Loves it. I'm like that.
Really?
He's like, I didn't even know that was you. I was like, how the hell did you not even know that was me? He's like, well, I listened to it. I don't watch it.
Devin, did you get some of this?
He didn't want any.
You don't want any?
But yeah, it turns out he listens to every episode. So I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I went back and I watched most of them after I got invited on. I was like, what did I sign up for?
Dude, they're good.
Really?
Yeah.
It's good. Just a bunch of bullshit.
It is just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
But you get to be
my favorite one before this one was the one with Deborah. But that one was really good.
Deborah's good.
Love Deborah. I'm a big Deborah fan.
Yeah.
I brag on her, man. She is a dangerous person. She's a character. She can vision and execute. You know how dangerous that is?
Yeah, no, and
that's crazy, man. When you can see
exciting.
Down the road and then make that road happen and build it out and execute.
She must have some Mexican in her.
That's great. No, she's
build a road and everything.
Oh my God, hold on.
This guy's gonna take the joke and just.
Oh no. She's oh my God.
Puerto Rican, Dominican.
Nope. Yes, I think somewhere in Europe.
White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah.
No,
that's most of Europe.
That's rude. You know how many offended you offend people.
Hey, well, never mind. I'm not gonna say nothing.
Vulnerability is key to living an authentic life. Do you agree or disagree? It involves being true to oneself and embracing who you are.
I think it's
imperfection is all. Highlight the connection between vulnerability and courage. It takes immense courage to be vulnerable, but it's through its courage that real growth and change can happen.
I would agree with that. I would say vulnerability is good in certain ways, certain aspects, depending on who you're showing it to and how it is. I'm a firm believer in being vulnerable with your spouse. I think I'm a firm believer in being, to some degree.
Is that not one and the same?
We're not married yet.
Mm.
We will be one day.
Only
I
one
figured
finger,
since your
buddy.
wings matched.
Oh, what the?
What?
That's it. No,
What'd
I'm
you
just
say?
kidding. Said our rings match, but
We
yours
both
is
are
red,
both
mine's
rubber.
green. Well, I
Wearing a
lost
rubber?
mine. Dude, I always bring my rubber. But I do think that there's a fine line. There's certain times you shouldn't be vulnerable, like with your kids. There's certain things that, and certain times in life that there is vulnerability and authenticness, and sometimes, and I think you're kind of hitting that stage as your kids get older, where you have to be vulnerable with yourself and kind of hold the ground and show a certain face for them, because well, you can't necessarily show not that you can't show them, but there's certain things, I think being vulnerable with yourself and being real with yourself is really good. But then exterior wise, it just depends on situational situational awareness is what it takes. But I mean, with you guys, business wise and family, all kinds of ends up blending, and then it helps whenever you relate to other people and they're like, oh, you know what, it ain't so bad. None of us have it figured out. It's all good.
I've got
Yeah,
it figured out.
I don't mean to do this.
Dude, can you give me the cheat code? Like,
42.
you got a book? 42? I never tried that one.
Just try 42.
I've been trying to have more real conversations when I'm out networking.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you go out networking or whatever, you try to meet new people, and they're like, "Hey, what do you do?" That's the first question out of their mouth. What do you
Brayden's
do?
like, what's your favorite color?
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, no, yeah. Hey, what's your favorite color? Like just some random stuff like that. Hey,
Just
what are you
bringing
doing?
it back to the playground?
What are you doing for fun?
What do
Hey,
you do for
do you
fun?
have any kids?
You don't
Yeah.
do anything for fun.
I don't ask. I try to avoid business questions right
Yeah.
off the gate.
Well, I mean,
Because
the goal is to always build a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Right,
And like,
right.
it's hard to do that whenever you come off as, "Hey, how can I sell to you?"
And I don't
Right.
give them my card unless A, they ask for it, or B, they give me theirs.
Yeah.
And then I trade cards. But outside of that, I'm not there to send cards. I'm there to establish, if I can establish one quality connection,
Makes
that
a
would have made
difference.
a difference.
Oh yeah.
So, which I did. So I went to the Tulsa Chamber member mingle event yesterday at the Mayo Hotel up at the rooftop bar. And I happened to have connected with the owner, founder, investor of Quick and Clean Car Wash, which they have half a
Those are
dozen
everywhere.
locations or whatever
Yeah, I've
here,
seen 'em.
and they're multi-state. And them and their regional director, I believe is his title. And we totally just vibed. It was a complete accident. But it was weird. I don't know why, but he was eyeballing me for like a good 30 minutes.
Gotta be the
across the
blueberry shirt.
room.
You thought you were pretty.
Yeah, definitely.
Shoot.
You got a
You
pretty
got a check?
mouth.
I'm just kidding. Take me home or show me the money. Take me home or lose me forever.
I'm not trying to sell myself, but
We're about to hit this card. But I found out the vulnerabilities that he has, in multiple standpoints. But we just had fun. Just started talking about kids. We show each other's like families and stuff. Like it was a good personal connection, and I vibe with that. Because like a lot of times it's like it feels like if it's
Superficial.
just business, it's like I feel like a pageant waiver. And there's lots of people that show up to those things and they just show up and wave their business cards around and look at what I did, look at what I'm doing, blah blah. And like no one gives a shit. No one cares what you do. They care once they care who you are, then they want to know about what you do,
right,
and how you do it and stuff. Then the connection's there, if it's there. But don't a lot of times people force it. But anyway, so me and him got to talking about some ideas with like experiential and like how do you get to experience their brand? How do you experience a car wash without going to a car wash? I came up with a wild idea. I was like, let's go to a lake, a beach, whatever, and let's have depending on the brand's core values, this would be dependent. Okay. So this isn't just for them. This isn't going to happen. That's a disclaimer. Whatever. Moving on. I was like, let's get some girls together.
It was a good idea until he said that.
Get some girls together, do car wash, bring some of the materials there, kind of pretend make your car wash portable. Give them an experience, like fabricate something, go all out, make it portable, go to car shows, Cars and Coffee, where like these Lamborghinis and stuff are. And go and approach certain markets like this and make it an experience.
Car show's a bad idea. Those guys will never go through an automatic car wash.
Maybe there's a selling point on it because they have high-end cars that go through some of those. I don't know. Anyways, it was just an idea, experiential. The other part of that is where I discovered vulnerabilities. This is kind of like where I discovered vulnerabilities. As I go, oh, here on Google Maps, are these all your locations? And then I pulled up right on Apple Maps. I'm like, why are half the locations missing on Apple Maps? I'm like, not everyone uses Google. And I'm like, that's connected to Siri. And I'm like,
That's terrible.
I was
Google's
like,
the
that's
best.
a problem, man. And he's like, we need to fix that. I'm like, call me. And so
you gave me your business card then, right?
no,
Oh, come on.
No,
How's he
'cause
supposed to call you?
we were talking about it. And
He did the
it-
magic wand thing where he taps his phone to their phone, makes them kiss.
just about. But I originally
He showed me that.
before all this conversation, people are more willing to give you their email.
Oh, yeah.
Their email's one step closer to a phone number. Sometimes not everyone wants to give you their cell phone, especially with people of certain statures, certain.
Damn
whatever.
Gen Zs. Let me have your IG. The
Yeah.
fuck I'm trying to sell
But
you a
anyways,
$30,000
but
landscape.
anyways, that was a great connection for us. And I was talking to him about. I first introduced, and this is a lot of the lead. This is how we find great people to join the Brews and Business is, not just by doing business with each other and knowing somebody, but I'll introduce and I'll say, hey, I think you'd be a great candidate on the Brews and Business podcast. I love your story and some of the things that you're doing. I'd love to learn more, and maybe your story will inspire somebody. Is that okay? Does that sound good? And most of the time they're like, oh, I'd love to. People love to talk about themselves and what they do and how they do it and what they've learned, and they love to teach, and that's great. And we learn a lot too, just like what we've learned like a little bit with Cody today on some of the IT stuff, and even some of the vulnerability on IT. They're personal, but I scheduled them. I scheduled them on October 11th to record with us.
I'm excited.
So that'll be
Let's
cool.
do it. I know a guy who can maintain his quick and clean car washes. Just saying. You want to pick a card? You can pick any card as long as it's a front card.
It's the very front card. That's the only card you can pick.
You
So
must-
these are the Diary of a CEO cards.
Let me say my piece. Damn. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to do it.
I don't like this one. Give me
Dude,
one
I
again.
do enough. You do it.
Anyways, all right. Diary of a CEO cards. Basically, cards to inspire proper connection, human connection, or it says empowering true human connection. These questions, some of them are personal, some of them are family, some of them are business. They're just good questions that ask a real question. Last time, what was it? What do you consider
It
luck?
should be
definition
on the
of luck.
backside of that.
It's all right. I remember.
Okay, good.
What's your definition of luck? So, the example of a question. Do you mind reducing the question? Give us an answer. Giving us an answer.
Well, I think that a lot of my success has been luck based, right?
Okay.
Like at the end of the day, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for meeting the right people, finding the right connections, and taking advantage of those situations. And while I took advantage of them, all of them were inherently lucky, right? I went to get breakfast at a certain time of day, met a client,
Talk
right?
about that. Yeah.
Like stuff like that is just so inherently random.
But you're not lucky. And I'll argue that. Because
That was last
because
time's question.
Because what we said on the previous episode was luck is where opportunity meets action.
Absolutely.
Forced opportunity.
Right. But like the opportunity itself is the luck, right?
For sure.
And then like being willing to open that door and go into the building is the action.
Right.
Me personally, I'm always open to talking to new people, meeting new like friends, finding new connections. And so
Yeah.
like if I'm sitting at a bar having a drink and eating some breakfast, I might talk to the guy who's across the bar from me on his laptop, meet whole
That
new
guy
client.
needs IT security. He's
Probably
at a bar
does.
on his laptop.
He's on a public Wi-Fi network. I don't see a personal router. He's probably not running a VPN.
This guy on his Friday night
Oh, love
is
it.
out
Love
there
it.
hanging out
I
on the
know.
bars downtown, hacking people's computers and phones and going, I see you.
Yeah, that's funny.
I know your IP.
So let's hear your question.
Oh, how could you be more authentically you?
Oh, that's a good one with the vulnerability.
Man, that
Topic.
couldn't have been better.
Damn.
How can you be more authentically you? That's a question. I don't know. I mean, I think I could have answered this years ago.
Yeah.
But now I don't know. Like I think it does take a lot of self-awareness in order to be vulnerable, which creates more opportunity for you to be more authentic.
Mhm.
Because you can't be authentic when you're not vulnerable.
Sure.
And you haven't done any self-awareness, and you haven't done any self-reflection. You haven't tried new things. You haven't exposed yourself. You haven't gone out and exposed yourself. You haven't exposed yourself to different experiences. You know what I mean? You've kept yourself secluded, closed. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an extrovert. I'm a little bit of an extrovert.
That's
and I
an
don't
understatement.
You think so?
Hmm.
I'm a social butterfly.
Fuck. You're the leader of the social butterflies. You're a damn monarch.
Oh,
Man.
I think the business owners by and
Like a
large
bird.
probably have more authenticity than most people.
I was gonna say that.
Wait,
yeah.
who?
Business
Business
owners
owners.
and entrepreneurs.
I don't know.
Because
Nope.
you
Nope.
almost
I think a lot of them are pageant waivers. I think a lot of them like to showboat, and I think that they have a lot of underlying problems that they don't want to show, and I don't think they're vulnerable at all.
But I think
I think they like to
there's
show
a big
it.
difference between a business owner and a sole proprietor, though, right? So, like sole proprietors, people
I
who
was gonna
start
say
up
that.
like a business and aren't necessarily really doing the work, and they're just pageant waivers, like you said.
Okay,
I don't think that
get
those
it. Yep.
people are authentic, but like true business owners who
He's been in the weeds.
who have actually been actively building something and working for something, they typically have already wrangled with themselves, I think.
Yeah,
Because
well, they've
you really
also-
have to. It's one of the
Love that.
scariest things, right? To say, look, I'm going to pay my mortgage, I'm going to pay for my car, and I'm going to do it all on my own back. I'm not going to do it by going to a 9 to 5. I'm going to drag kicking and screaming this concept into reality.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
I
up
think they've
24/7. I'm going to be constantly, this is what I'm grinding for. And so you really don't have time to be fake, right? At
Man,
least
that's good.
that's my perspective.
I
Mark that clip.
yeah, I have to agree with that. How to be authentically more you, and I kind of have to agree with him. I'm gonna say most solopreneurs or startup guys or what we call them entrepreneurs, right? Like they don't
Which,
have.
I mean, we all start there,
we
right?
all do.
We-
You have to be
you
to some
always
degree.
start by
Yes, you
yourself.
absolutely have to be.
With
But
everyone
I
telling you
think
you're crazy.
it with us in the position where we're in, have a few employees under our belts, and like you said, not only you're paying your mortgage and your car, you're paying all of theirs too, and that comes before yours.
Especially when you're
and-
the only salesperson.
Right, it's rough. And when you
You
think
know how
about
many
it, you're
bills I
like,
have to pay?
dang. And you think about it, I think you're 100% right. We are constantly looking in the mirror to see where we could improve, where we could do, how do we become better at who we are? That, man, I don't know how I could be more authentically myself. I think if anything, just continue on the path that we're on.
I
it's
was
I think
I was never sorry. I was never more fake than when I was a middle manager, right? Whenever I was just working for a corporation and I wasn't really able to be myself. But as soon as I quit my job and started doing my own business, it's been authentic from the start for me.
I kind of have to agree. I have to agree because, like, man, I feel like whenever you're working, and I'm sure our employees feel this way to some degree, right? But like when you're working for yourself, you can only have so much say, right? Before you have someone to have to give you validation. Whereas as a business owner, and this is something I'm dealing with right now, as a business owner, you have to validate yourself, which is a completely different rhythm. It's a different
this
different
is getting
feeling
deep.
where it's
So-
like, how do
yeah.
you get authentic if you're trying to validate yourself? Well, that's really hard because we're literally grown up trained to not being able to validate ourselves. Oh, you're doing good. Well, we need somebody to tell you you're doing good. Your grades, your parents, your friends, whoever needs to tell you you're doing good, validate you. Whereas you get older as a business owner, dude, there's nobody validating you. It doesn't matter if you got the sale, if you didn't get the sale, if
Okay.
you got the job. Like, you have to validate yourself that all the work that you're doing right now is going to give you that kicking and screaming pipe dream that you have 10 years down the road.
And not only
that
that, but, like,
validation creates security. So you have to you can't just be the only one to validate yourself. You have to balance that out with some cultural validation.
And I agree
There
with
has
that.
to be people that keep you in a check and balance. Because if I'm over here being like, I'm the shit over here on Brews and Business and I'm the best fucking marketing person in the world, and you know what I mean, and I've got too much validation myself, then I become
but
cocky and
that's
overconfident.
cockiness, that's
And
arrogance.
Right.
then-
But that's not authenticity either. I
but
don't
then-
think so.
okay, so yeah, okay, right. So these different terms and stuff, we're just kind of create
Right.
like in okay, what does this look like when we're talking about these terms? So you got to balance that with some humility. So like when people come up to me, and just random people now, which is a weird experience for me to have, people come up to me out of the blue, I don't know them, and they're like, I love your coffee videos. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I think they're fine. I think they could be 10 times better.
My
whatever.
wife loves your coffee
But I'm like,
videos.
hey,
I think they could be better.
but I always say thank you.
Mediocre
You know,
at
that's
best.
cool. You know, like I just do it for fun. You know, but I always say thank you, but I don't be like, I know, right? Like they're the best. You know, I'm not trying to do that to validate myself. And I think a lot of people will do that. They try to over validate themselves because they lack some of the security and the confidence, the real security and the real confidence, which they haven't really gone through. A lot of you motherfuckers need to go through therapy.
Yeah.
A lot of people need to go through some therapy to kind of figure out some things about themselves to be able to understand the whys and the deep part of why am I thinking or feeling this way? And why am I triggered? Why do I need to have this validation, this confidence in myself?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm speaking some stuff
I'm
here.
gonna-
This
I'm gonna-
conversation.
I think that there's a big difference between like authenticity though and arrogance or cockiness.
Yes.
Right? Like the authentic
You can
part-
clearly see that. I know you can. When you're out
Yeah.
and you see someone that's confident versus someone that's cocky, you
And I
can
think-
see the authenticity and whether or not they're real as a person. You can see that.
Absolutely. And I think that people resonate with authenticity, right? And so successful business owners who are authentic, who are genuinely doing the things that they say and believe in, people resonate with that, right? People resonate with the fact that you're open and honest about like being with Soldier's Wish, right? And how you personally benefit from it to a degree, but you're also doing it for the good part. But you're not just out here saying, I am an angel who is out here just to help people,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
But even then, that's still going to be bi-directional. If I'm the angel over here just giving out the soldier's wish, they're going to give me some recognition for being that angel. Like
Yeah,
I'm
but you're-
going to
but you're
receive some
not.
sort of satisfaction.
But you're authentic about it, right? And
because
like, people resonate with that.
I need it both directions.
But
I need it
I
to
would
benefit me and them, and then other people too. You know,
absolutely.
yeah.
And that there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like, I think that people resonate with the authenticity, which is something that you've seen in Soldier's Wish consistently growing because you're authentic about the way that you present it, right?
Mhm.
You're not trying to oversell it. You're not trying to overstate why you're there or anything like that, right? It's an authentic experience, and that cascades down into the event itself.
Even during the event, like on Wednesday, it was funny because again, like John and I started it. It's kind of like our names are on it. You know what I mean? And I've, as it's kind of came to where it is now, I wanted to make sure that there are people who want to contribute, can, and have the responsibilities to be able to contribute in their own ways. That doesn't mean that they now need to step over and start overdoing and whatever it is. Like if you want to provide something extra, that's great. But I have to know first because I'm managing the logistics of it. Two, I'm setting expectations with everyone who's attending there, right? Who wants to go. And I'm trying to say, hey, did you guys know that American Inheritance Confectionery is going to provide chocolates for the VIP whiskey tastings? And hey, did you know that if you buy a VIP table, that you're going to be provided with not only the chocolates, but only special whiskeys that are going to be provided by Andowiski that is separate from our distilleries from the normal tasting.
You get full glasses.
So I have to know the things that are happening to try to set the expectations, allow for a few surprises during the event to try to surprise people because people love it when things just happen, you know? But then also like at the last event on Wednesday, people were rude. They were talking over while John was trying to present and talk about the whiskeys and stuff, which gave anyone who wanted to really understand and really do what him and I were wanting to do, which was take people through the whiskey tasting experience. We want them to know how to taste and smell and whatever it is, and be able to divine it and to learn how to love the art of whiskey, sort of thing, while having a good time and making connections. So that's why we had a happy hour before and a happy hour after. But people were just completely rude the entire time, and I had to go around and treat them like kindergartners. And I literally stood up, and Devin remembers. I was like, "If you can hear me once, clap." Nothing.
Turn off the lights.
If you can hear me, clap twice. And a couple people clapped. I'm like, if you can hear me, clap 3 times. And I got everyone in. I'm like, okay, we're about to do X, Y, and Z. I've never done that. Like that was a weird new experience for me to do in a crowd full of people, you know. And I told John, I was like, if I have to be that guy to get everyone's attention, try to help you. He's like, but everyone's having a good time. You know, 50-50 of the people too were telling me, they're like, you know, I wish that I could have understood and heard what he was saying. The other half of the people were like, oh, I'm having a great time.
Well, you're trying to create a boutique experience, and so it makes sense that you would want people to hear you. Are you guys using any kind of sound equipment?
So there was the lodge had one PA speaker, and so I'm tempted to buy a PA speaker for ourselves.
Yeah,
a set. And so we had I had a wireless mic that you could just clip on. I had 2 of them. Actually, I Rode mics. So
I wonder.
But the PA speaker wasn't loud enough. The acoustic, the environment, and the acoustics wasn't right.
I wonder if maybe you should
need a
get
loud
like
black
Name
man.
that movie. You remember that from Step Brothers?
Yeah, I wonder if
I thought you took form of a unicorn.
don't don't put your balls on my drum kit. Hey, I wonder if you
Put
should
your
get like.
nutsack on my drum set.
I wonder if you should get like an actual microphone though, because then there's the visual.
I have an actual microphone.
Then there's like the visual of someone
Megaphone.
holding a mic, right? And like, oh, you were supposed to be paying
It's
attention.
a
to this
guy in a
person.
kilt. You don't think he
I've
stands out?
seen John. I know he
Oh,
stands
yeah,
out, but
man.
I also had trouble hearing him a couple months ago. And people weren't as rowdy as what you're describing.
That's true.
And
I
so,
had
like,
an issue whenever we went to that one.
I do feel like maybe
but
having
it
a
was
better
different.
PA system.
We also didn't have also didn't have 50 people with 4 whiskeys
That's
in.
true.
Well, that's
By the
what
time
I'm saying. But
6:30
I
hit.
still had trouble hearing them when you didn't have all of that.
So again, it comes down to a little bit of the structure that I'm trying to hold, and I'm not trying to be we're going on a tangent, but I'm not trying to be a control freak.
Squirrel.
I'm not trying to be a control freak on it, but it kind of came down from being like the authentic part and the vulnerability and the security and the confidence, and then it kind of came into how do we build that into a picture to where what do those actions look like, and how did I make an action that I'm just contributing to the conversation to make me not I don't want because again I want to be confident and I want people to know that like I feel like I know me, but it's taken me 30 years to get there, and I don't want to wait.
Any
Like
longer.
20 years, 10 years ago, I don't want to wait. I still don't want to wait. Like I'm
right,
shooting for 9-figure mindset
Well,
here.
well,
I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out.
So how do you become more authentically yourself, more experience?
How do I become more authentically myself?
Well, it says, the question, how do you become more authentically you, more experience?
I think maintain the authenticity part of it. I think I'm nearly an open book, kind of depending on where and who I'm with, and what I'm releasing,
sure.
what I'm saying. But
Yeah, do too much.
But again, like I don't mind talking about some real experience stuff,
Right.
And I've got to learn, and I'm going to learn too about playing that with. One of the things I've learned is politics versus policy.
Mm-hmm.
Policy is this must happen in order for X to happen, but politically that may not align with majority.
Yeah, I'm excited to get some policies ran out with you.
I am the wrong color brown for this. Oh, sorry, I'm the only brown one.
Excuse me.
Oh, hey, we're running low on
Light brown.
My last name is Rojas.
I know. I saw Rojas.
It sounds like a.
I'm Salvadorian.
Sounds like a.
I'm actually double. I'm a Salvadorian and Chinese.
Really?
Yeah.
Ready to wrap this up?
I'm Mexican, just brown.
Yeah,
it's cool. Whatever.
So that wraps up another episode of the Brews and Business Podcast. We hope today's conversation with Cody Rojas from T-Town Tech shed some light on the vital importance of cybersecurity and the vulnerabilities that every business must confront. Remember, it's not just about protecting data. It's about protecting your business, yourself, your customers, and your future. If you want to learn more about T-Town Tech and how they can help safeguard your business, or if you're ready to take cybersecurity to the next level, be sure to connect with Cody and his team. For more insight, full discussions, and expert advice, stay tuned in the Brews and Business Podcast. And as always, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, share it with your network. Let's continue to brew up success together, one conversation at a time. Until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and keep growing your business.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Let's get out of here.
Peace.